Well, the interesting thing, as we talk about news poll, is, that's a national aggregate. Do you think that those Victorian numbers, where Victorians really do have the baseball bats out for Labor, are dragging down Labor's overall national primary?
Yeah, correct. And the thing is, there's a lot at stake in and around Melbourne in terms of seats that Labor need to sandbag. The last time the Prime Minister was in town, he went on the offensive to the Liberal-held seat of Deakin, held by Michael Sukkar, the Liberal frontbencher. He went to Wills, but he only took a very small contingent of cameras. That's a contest against the Greens. So this state of Victoria, unlike a lot of elections, there's a lot at play here, a lot at stake in terms of Anthony Albanese's majority. If he loses a whole handful of seats in and around Melbourne, that makes his quest for majority much harder across the country.
And now, Trudy, you're really getting 4 seasons in one day here because you're down in Melbourne, but you've just come from Queensland. Tell us about going to some of the flood-hit areas. And I'm curious about this because is it true that the Prime Minister has even spent time in David Littleproud's seat of Maranoa? What's he thinking there?
Yeah, that's a seat that Labor cannot win. There's no chance of it winning. But the Prime Minister made the point that this is not all about politics, that he wanted to show the residents there in the western and central part of Queensland that he supports them given that extensive flooding. I'd have to say, as we flew into Longreach, the extent and scale of the damage is really hard to comprehend. It's an area 4 times the size of the state of Victoria in terms of land that was flooded. So many Australians out in that part of the world during this election campaign have a lot bigger things to worry about, and that is loss of livestock and cattle, thousands and thousands of kilometres of fencing that's down. It just, whilst we get caught up in the day-to-day argy-bargy of politics, there are so many people in this campaign, that's the last thing on their mind.
And now we're into the second week of the election campaign. We are now starting to see some real campaign policies and promises. Labor has offered homeowners 30% off home electric batteries with a $2.3 billion scheme backing it. Here's a little bit of what Peter Dutton had to say, slamming the idea.
The point that I'd make is that for $10,000 for a battery, maybe that's the cost after this subsidy. I think you're talking about higher income families being in a position to pay for that. And I just don't know that the next door neighbour who can't afford to pay for that battery is going to subsidise the battery for me or for you on higher incomes.
Trudy, I said in my editorial that this really feels like upper middle class welfare. How does Labor counter this charge of Peter Dutton's that this really is subsidising people who are well off and admitting that power bills are going to go up for everybody else?
Well, we saw quite a bold claim today from the Labor camp that this means, this policy, that everybody's power bills will come down. But we've heard that before. Don't forget at the last election they even
yes,
put a dollar figure on it. $2.75 reduction, and it didn't ever happen. It actually went up, not down. So that's where some of the scepticism probably is there for Peter Dutton to try and weaponise against the government. We've seen a big take-up in rooftop solar. I think 1 in 3 houses have rooftop solar at the moment. But the missing picture, according to Labor, is getting that battery. Only 1 in 40 properties have a battery. It's a huge upfront cost, though, a 30% discount from Labor if they're re-elected. It's still forking out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for one of these batteries. So the crucial question is, are we going to see this matched by the coalition? It wasn't today, but in the lead up to this announcement, there had been whispers that the coalition itself was working on a rooftop solar battery promise. We're yet to see that. So far, haven't had a Me Too moment on this. We've seen it from the coalition on a lot of other policies, particularly healthcare.
It really has been the Me Too campaign so far on so many issues. Trudy, thank you so much.